British tourists are among hundreds evacuated from out-of-control wildfires in Greece. High winds and southern Europe's punishing heatwave are driving the flames in Rhodes.
Everybody was a bit scared in some instances. Nobody had a clue what was going on.
Also tonight, Labour and the Tories focus on fixing the issues that lost each of them a by-election this week. The RAC says some petrol forecourts have nearly doubled their profit margins in the last 18 months. And
it is World Cup liftoff for the Lionesses.
Haiti puts up a fight, but the Lionesses roar into the World Cup with a win.
This is ITV News with Gamal Fambaleh.
Good evening. Hundreds of holidaymakers, including British tourists, have been forced to flee their hotels on the Greek island of Rhodes as wildfires threaten their resorts. The fires have been burning for most of the past week, but were confined to the island's mountainous interior until strong winds, dry conditions and relentless high temperatures swept the flames towards the coast today. Greek fire officials say the situation on the island is the worst in the whole country, even as temperatures rise to the mid-40s around Athens. Vincent McAviney reports.
With temperatures on the Greek island of Rhodes having soared to the high 30s in recent days, this was the result. Huge clouds of smoke bearing down on thousands of holidaymakers. The island's authorities have been battling wildfires fanned by strong winds in the mountainous centre since Tuesday. Despite over 200 firefighters, 40 fire engines, 5 helicopters and 3 planes trying to contain them, the flames have now spread towards the coastal resorts, prompting a mass evacuation. Using coaches, private boats and a Greek naval vessel, more than 2,000 holidaymakers have been relocated. British holidaymaker Darren, his wife and children are some of the hundreds now spending the night in a local sports centre.
The action plans that the Greeks and the road staff have put in place is exceptional. We couldn't have been looked after any better. We arrived, everybody was a bit scared in some instances. Nobody had a clue what was going on. They brought us into the gymnasium, provided everybody with food.
Not everyone has been as fortunate. ITV News has spoken to other British families tonight, having to walk 6 miles down dark roads to safety. So far, no fatalities or injuries have been reported. But with temperatures in parts of Greece set to climb up to 45 degrees this week, we could be seeing more tourists having their holidays disrupted in the coming days. Vincent McAviney, ITV News.
Meanwhile, in India, a different disaster is unfolding. Massive floods have hit the western state of Gujarat. Heavy downpours led to the flash flooding. Vehicles and even cattle could be seen being washed away in the city of Junaid. Officials have issued a red alert for the entire state for the next 3 days. At least one person has been reported missing. Well, here, the main political parties are having intense internal debates this weekend about the challenges exposed by this week's by-elections. Labour is at odds over a controversial environmental scheme that they believe cost them the Uxbridge seat, whilst the Conservatives are seeking a strategy to stop massive swings to opposition parties as seen in Selby and Somerset. Here's our political correspondent, Shihab Khan.
3 by-elections out the way, the focus for the Labour leader today was being back on the campaign trail. This time in mid-Bedfordshire, where the next by-election is likely to take place. Keir Starmer may be looking forward, but the narrow 500 vote defeat in Uxbridge was still on his mind. And he now has a clear conclusion as to why Labour didn't win.
I don't think there's any doubt that ULEZ was the reason that we lost the by-election in Uxbridge. And I have said we should reflect on this, including the Mayor. I've spoken to him, as you would expect, and so there will be that reflection. But we're not sitting back, we're not looking over our shoulder, we're pressing forward.
The policy may now change, as ITV News understands that Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, is in a constructive listening mode on the issue after his chat with the Labour leader. Some Tory MPs also think the Uxbridge result has given food for thought for the Prime Minister's future strategy.
It proves that the public are not willing to pay these massively excessive prices for net zero type policies.
So do you think the Prime Minister needs to do anything differently?
I think it's total madness that we're going to ban the traditional petrol, diesel vans and cars by 2030 when the rest of the world isn't. I would have thought that is very ripe for a rethink.
Labour did overturn a huge Tory majority in Selby and Ainslie, and the Liberal Democrats managed to do the same in Somerton and Frome. They say it's proof that voters are uniting to get the government out.
We're thinking about the communities that we want to represent, and we're thinking about the communities that are telling us that they don't feel they've had the representation they deserve from the Conservatives.
The by-elections offered a wide range of results, 3 MPs from 3 different parties, but it has left everyone with plenty to think about.
So, Shihab, could this week's by-election results change either party's direction?
It's certainly possible, and the conversations that we're hearing suggest that that's already happening. The Labour leader talking to the Mayor of London about the ultra-low emission zone would suggest there could be a change in policy there. They're clearly thinking about it. For the Conservative Party, who know they're quite far behind in the polls, they've just seen in Uxbridge that a single issue can really help rejuvenate voters, can get people on side. You heard from that Tory backbencher, they were going to try and push really hard on that. Both sides have plenty to think about, but time will tell how much of an impact these by-election results have actually had.
Yeah, time will tell. Shihab, thank you. The RAC says more than 12 million leisure car journeys are taking place this weekend with the start of the school holidays. But the motoring organisation also revealed today that many of those drivers may unknowingly be boosting the profits of supermarkets, petrol retailers. They say supermarket forecourts' profit margins have nearly doubled in the last 18 months. Martha Fairley has this report.
It's been a smooth start to the Great Getaway as millions of holidaymakers head off. But it's come at a cost for those travelling by road. The price of petrol and diesel has been falling over the past few months, but the RAC says Asda, Tesco, Morrisons and Sainsbury's have nearly doubled their profit margins on fuel since the war in Ukraine began. In 2016, the average profit margin on fuel for the Big Four supermarkets stood at 2.3 pence per litre. The year before the Ukraine war began, it was more than double that at 5.9 pence. And so far this year, it's averaged 10.8 pence per litre.
At the moment, as people may well know, the government are giving a 5p a litre fuel duty discount. And that means that drivers at the pumps aren't seeing the full benefit of this, which is wrong in a cost of living crisis, which is why we've highlighted it. It's also really important because we know that fuel prices have a big bearing on inflation.
And motorists filling up today believe prices are still too high.
The price of a barrel of oil is a lot less now anyway, so I don't see why petrol pumps are still charging the same prices.
It's much lower. About 1 year ago it was 190, one now. Is it now? 138, it's alright, not too bad.
It's too expensive, but what can we do? We just have to go with it. But it's too much.
Earlier this month, the Energy Secretary Grant Shapps accused fuel companies of using motorists as cash cows. And at a meeting with supermarket bosses this week, he told them to end overpricing at the pumps. They've been asked to join a voluntary price comparison scheme. Asda says despite increased margins in fuel, profits across its business fell to 1.7 pence for every pound, so any suggestion of profiteering would be false. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Well, there was another rail strike to contend with too for anyone trying to get away on holiday today, with far fewer trains running than normal. Some localised delays were reported on the roads and at ferry terminals, which are warning passengers to leave extra time to pass through border checks. Hundreds of thousands of protesters have taken to the streets in Israel to oppose plans to block judges from overturning government's decisions. It's the largest demonstration yet against the controversial bill. And the actor Jamie Foxx has thanked his family and his fans for supporting him through his recent medical problems. The star was admitted suddenly to hospital in April with a condition he still won't reveal.
And I know a lot of people were waiting, or wanting to hear updates, but to be honest with you, I just didn't want you to see me like that, man. I want you to see me laughing, having a good time, partying.
Now, England's Lionesses have launched their World Cup campaign down under with a win. Victory over Haiti in Brisbane was always considered the most likely outcome, but it turned out to be a much more nail-biting experience than many fans and pundits had expected. Amy Lewis has our reports.
The Lionesses launch their latest legacy.
England might have arrived as European champions, but now they want to conquer the world. The contrast in these teams could hardly be greater. England, one of the tournament favourites, were facing Haiti in their first ever World Cup match. But from the early exchanges, it was clear they were going to be tricky opposition. This challenge on Lioness Chloe Kelly led to the video assistant referee being consulted.
My decision is no penalty kick.
But then VAR was consulted again and played a hand in England being awarded a penalty.
But we're at a World Cup now.
Georgia Stanway had scored all 7 of her previous spot kicks.
No, it's a brilliant save.
But the goalkeeper was off her line.
Take 2.
And Stanway had a second chance.
It is World Cup liftoff.
Back home, the fans were on their feet and the Lionesses were in the lead. After the break, Haiti carried on causing problems, but couldn't make it count.
There is the full-time whistle.
So England had clung on to their 1-0 lead.
The first game is just to settle the nerves, you can kind of build momentum, and yeah, it's just kind of nice to get that World Cup feel after watching 2 days.
The Lionesses were expected to win more convincingly. It might not have been the slickest of performances, but the Lionesses hope this is the start of something very special. Amy Lewis, ITV News.
Well done to England. Now, England's men's cricketers are battling Australia and the Manchester weather to stay in the Ashes. Joe Root took the only wicket between the rain showers on day 4 of the 4th test at Old Trafford. England need 5 more on tomorrow's final day, or Australia keep the Ashes, but more rain is forecast. And Lewis Hamilton will start tomorrow's Hungarian Grand Prix from pole position. Hamilton edged out world champion Max Verstappen by just 3 thousandths of a second on his very final lap. It's his first pole since 2021. And that's it. The weather forecast is next. But from all of us here on the Weekend News team, many thanks indeed for watching.